Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Sarah of Spa and Wellness MexiCaribe, and this morning we have a really interesting webinar, Skin Mapping for Healthy Skin with Dr. Ben Johnson of Osmosis Beauty. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
It's a really interesting topic, and I can't wait to hear more about it. I'm going to hand over to you, and then we'll reconvene at the end with any questions.
All right, great. Well, my understanding is it's about 45 minutes. So I'll do my best to, is that actually correct? 45 minutes? I think so. I'll do my best to stay within the confines. I'm very passionate about this subject and about a lot of the subject when it comes to skincare because I believe that these are transformative for every esthetician, physician, anyone in, honestly, it's transformative for every consumer as well. The information we're sharing today. And the reason why is because once you realize that the body is giving you clues to what's going on and you learn those clues, and it's super easy to learn, just so you know, I know I'm always amazed at some of my clients who've been with me for a year or two and they still haven't mastered the basics of skin mapping to the point where if you meet someone, you're like, oh, I know you got a couple things going on. I can see it in your face. But it's more important than that because you don't just want to know which organs are involved, and then we're going to get into those details, but you also want to know how to treat them. Right? I mean, I think one of the most frustrating things about really dermatology as a whole and aesthetic practice as a whole is how often we are confused by the presentation. We don't understand why their skin is not getting better. We're doing the same things on one person and they seem to get better, and then we do the same thing on someone else, they don't get better, or you get them clear and then they comes back. And there's always these questions. And what I'm telling you after 25 years in this industry and after honestly what I think were just divine information and blessings that have allowed me to understand how the skin and body work at a level that I just don't see being discussed out there. I'm here today to give you the secrets on how to clear your client's skin and also to tell them how they got there. Like, what more important thing is there for someone, who's come to you faithfully for 6 months, getting facials, buying skincare, listening to what you have to say, and how much frustrating is it that all that effort gets rewound, and next thing you know, they're back in the same position they were, and nobody knows how they got there in the first place. Well, we're going to change that today. Super excited to share that with you. And let's see. There we go. So, skin mapping, you've heard about it. You know, Chinese facial mapping has been around for several thousand years. But I don't find that one as useful as maybe the Chinese medicine specialists do, primarily because while certain parts of the face may be associated with organs, they're often not showing up as a skin problem. So I'll give you one example. As I recall, and again, this might not be accurate, but one Chinese skin map I saw said the heart was the tip of the nose. The heart may be the tip of the nose in some aspect of it, maybe acupuncture, but in reality, the heart problems that anyone may suffer with, any health problems related to the heart, don't show up on the skin. So it's not something an esthetician or a physician needs to know. What you need to know is this client's presenting to me with these skin issues, and we're going to include aging in this as well, but they're presenting to me with these skin issues, and what organs could be involved to be causing these skin issues. And you're going to see as we get into it that in fact you can map it pretty precisely. The one that's not as precise is the liver. And so let's get into some details about that, and let me help you. Okay, so now we're looking at a face, and you can see that we're talking about the digestive zones. Now, the digestive zones are leading the charge in the reasons why people have two main conditions: eczema. Well, I take that back. Sorry. Acne and rosacea are the main conditions. Eczema is growing, and it is, we can talk about all the causes of all the different skin conditions. But when it comes to the digestive conditions, acne on the face, acne and rosacea are how digestive concerns present. And the reason why we're seeing so much of this is because the Americanized diet, and unfortunately for a lot of the Caribbean and a lot as well in Mexico, you're being subjected to the same poisons that we're being subjected to in our foods. It's an absolute travesty. Everyone should revolt. Just going to put my 2 cents forward on that. We should all be demanding that our food be made healthier than it is, and that the chemicals they're putting in it, which are causing harm left and right, be stopped so that we don't have to struggle with skin and health conditions like this. Now, if you know or you recall from your high school anatomy class, you can kind of remember the order of how things go down the digestive tract, right? We have the mouth, the throat, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, and there you go, the end of the digestive tract. So that's really what we're looking at here. So let's start you out at honestly, the mouth doesn't show up as a mappable event, but the back of the throat does. So something you all learned about was rhinophyma, or rosacea of the nose. We remember famous alcoholics like W.C. Fields, and others who had big, bulbous, scarred up noses. That's what rhinophyma means. And we wondered what's the connection? Why does drinking alcohol cause big scarring on the nose? And the answer is, it's the back of the throat. And the back of the throat is the first thing to be hit by that hard alcohol. And it is hard alcohol that causes rhinophyma. And not that all alcoholics are, drinking hard alcohol, but most alcoholics drink hard alcohol. And so I think that's probably true. And so anyway, the point is to say, if you drink wine and you're an alcoholic, you're not getting rhinophyma. But if you drink hard alcohol, it's hitting the back of your throat, causing damage to the back of your throat, and it's being reflected on the skin. So the summary of skin mapping is there are organs in the body that reflect on the skin, and that shows up so that you can map it specifically. So the esophagus is here. So what else shows up on the esophagus or the nose? Blackheads. Are blackheads a mapping event? Or are they dirt from the outside air and our hands? The answer is number one. They are internal. Blackheads come from the inside. They come from mucus accumulation. So when you eat a lot of dairy, I'm looking at you, Mexico. When you eat a lot of fried food, I'm looking at you, the rest of the Caribbean, you actually create mucus. The other thing that creates mucus is a lot of sour drinks. So lemonades, orange juices, sour, I suppose you can include in that sour mixes in margarita mixes and all those things. And so all those sour things increase the mucus production in your body, in your gut, and when you eat, and that mucus will travel up into the esophagus and it will present as blackheads on the nose. True story. You can test it out yourself. One night, check out your blackheads before you eat ice cream, and then eat ice cream and wake up the next morning and tell me if you don't have more blackheads. Now, was your pillowcase dirty, or did something from the inside populate on your nose? And the answer, of course, is it's the ice cream that was the culprit. And so, yes, we can clear blackheads, through extraction, but we know that they just keep coming back, even though our client says they wash their face 3 times a day, even though our client uses alcohol wipes to try to cleanse those pores out deeply and all of those things. And that's because it comes from the inside. So even blackheads here, they all come from different zones of the digestive tract, and they cause that. So in the esophagus, you get redness, right? So redness isn't always drinking. In fact, most of the time, redness is not drinking. Redness on the nose is from acid reflux. Acid reflux in a third of people isn't felt. So if you say to your client, looks like you have acid reflux, and they tell you, no, I don't, the answer usually is going to be, yes, you do. You have silent acid reflux, because the nose never lies. In fact, mapping does not lie. The other one that's really common, capillaries on the sides of the nostrils. That is acid reflux long-term damage. So if you see capillaries on the sides of the nose, it was never UV damage, that's what we tell everybody, right? That's what we learned in school was, oh yeah, these telangiectasias or broken capillaries, of course they're not broken, are there because you got too much sun. And I'm like, really? I got too much sun on the side of my nose? Like, yeah, I could see where I would get too much sun on the tip of my nose, but on the side of my nose, that actually is a really low UV intensity angle. Doesn't even make sense logically. And there's a reason because it's not from that. It is from acid reflux every time. Should I say every time? I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that could cause capillaries on the side of the nose? It really is every time. I mean, is it one in a million? Maybe not, but it's really every time. And now you might say, Dr. Ben, why are you so sure? I have a forum and it has thousands of professionals in it. And in this forum, every day or almost every day, unless I'm on vacation, I'm in there giving answers to the cases that they submit to me. Hey, why does this person look this way? What's wrong with this person? How do we help this person? What protocol do you have for this person? I've been doing this for approximately 15 years. And through that process is how I learned about all of this stuff because I kept seeing patterns and I kept taking medical histories and I kept looking at their supplement and their medication. And lo and behold, patterns came up. And this is the proof. And I'm telling you, everything I'm telling you is not a theory anymore. I mean, I guess by definition, it could be considered a theory, but it's factual. You'll take it to the bank every time it'll prove out. And so, with that knowledge, you know that the esophagus shows those few things: redness from acid reflux, capillaries from acid reflux, blackheads from mucus, scar tissue from probably chronic. I mean, you could get scar tissue if you had chronic acid reflux, or like if you were a bulimic, and you're constantly causing yourself to vomit, you might get some scar tissue or redness there. Those are not very common, so that we kind of rule that out. And so that's your esophagus. Now, what's after the esophagus? It is the stomach. Now, the stomach zone, you can see here, it looks almost like a nose ring, a big old nose ring at that. And it's actually not perfectly in that shape. It actually extends out a little bit and it extends down a little bit. And so you'll see really obvious patterns of this. And it's really interesting to hear what the dermatologists call it. They usually call it perioral dermatitis, or they call it, I heard recently a naturopathic derm told me she thinks it's definition of seborrheic dermatitis. And I'm here to tell you it's neither of those. It is stomach. And so it is H. pylori. We have an epidemic of H. pylori going on in the world today. And I'm fascinated by it because I don't know if I just wasn't looking for it before. But I swear to you, every third client has H. pylori. It's wild. And you tell me if you don't notice it. And sometimes it's tucked in there and you don't know. So let me tell you what that looks like. So redness in this zone, it's pretty obvious, right? You can see it, and it's redness, it's capillaries, and it's acne. Any of those three in that zone is H. pylori. And we have amazing protocols for all these things, just so you know. But the H. pylori is going to show, what was I telling you? Oh, so sometimes their redness is dark red. And so it almost, and especially if they're darker skinned, it might just look like darkness right next to the nostrils. This is not on the nostrils. If it's on the nostrils, it's in the esophageal region. It is right next to the nostrils. And so you'll see a darkening right at the base of the nostril going out a little bit. Sometimes it's hidden by the nostril itself a little bit. And so you don't tend to look for it. But you need to know, because H. pylori causes digestive problems, it causes acid reflux, it causes candida, and it causes mucus. And you're going to hear from me how all of those play into all the other skin conditions we're going to talk about. So again, our protocol for it, we may not have time to go into all the protocols, but we absolutely have a non-antibiotic protocol for H. pylori that is a must. Everything we do at Osmosis is holistic, which means we don't harm the body in order to get the result. And that is not what's happening in dermatology today. And so there you have it. Okay, well, what comes after the stomach? Well, that's the small intestines, right? And so the small intestines you can see as a patch on either side of the nose, kind of, and not everyone's going to have this perfect map of it. We're just giving you the approximates for each person. And in the small intestine is known for taking the hits from a bad diet, right? If you don't digest food well, H. pylori is a cause of that, by the way. If you don't digest food well, or if you take antacids while you're eating, or if you're on an acid blocker because you have acid reflux, you're not digesting well. So what ends up happening in the small intestine is you get an ulcer. Some people, that's H. pylori. Some people get mucus buildup. Some people get candida buildup. Some people get what's called SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. All of these in your small intestines. And so what do you do about that? Well, we treat the candida. We melt out the mucus with skin clarifier. We heal the H. pylori with another protocol. We restore the microbiome in ways that you probably didn't think about. Let me just give you a heads up. All probiotics are bad. So knowing that all probiotics are bad, you should just know, stay away from fermented food, stay away from probiotics. So that's a big nugget for you. And if you want to know more about all this stuff, of course, I have lots of podcasts at Ask Dr. Ben, lots of information on our website, blogs, and we have a whole course called the Holistic Skin Specialist course, where you go into deep detail on all of these things. And I highly advise you do that. Amazing to get that certification and be a holistic skin specialist. But I digress. So back to the small intestine. It's also the place where people get that lupus butterfly rash. Yes, I believe lupus is related to the small intestine and bacteria in the small intestine. And so the map tells the story all the time. So if you see people with rosacea here or acne here, you're thinking digestive. And the big clue, because liver digestion can show up in some of these same areas, the big clue is acne. If they have acne and rosacea, it's digestive rosacea, and 99% of the time. Sometimes they have both, right? Liver and digestive. So there you have the small intestine, and what's connected to the small intestine is the large intestine. You can see that spreading out on the outside of the cheeks, going up the temples, across the forehead, and in between the brows. This is your large intestine, and your large intestine does end right at the end of your large intestine. That is the area around your mouth. So you see that pattern around the mouth. That is still large intestine at the very end of it. And so when you get what happens in the large intestine, well, you can have rosacea, in other words, inflammation of your large intestine, or you can have acne, which is going to be caused always. So all acne in the small intestine and all acne in the large intestine is candida, always. And you're like, wait, candida in the skin? No, candida in your gut. And what I believe causes acne is it's a detox. So change everything you've ever thought about acne, and imagine that, yes, the studies were showing that it was more of an inflammatory condition than an infectious condition. Yes, the studies that show that antibiotics don't really work on acne unless they have a candida impact, like amoxicillin over 2 weeks can shrink candida. So sometimes you're getting a secondary thing, you don't even realize what the reason for it is. But in general, it's candida. You want a holistic protocol. You don't want to necessarily even have them on different antifungals, because our protocol is as good, if not better, than all of these different strategies. Candida overgrows from sugar. It overgrows from progesterone. It overgrows from mucus. So the things I mentioned causing mucus can lead to more candida. And am I forgetting anything? Diet soda. Diet soda promotes candida. Probiotics promote candida. And I'll think of probably one or two other great examples of commonly caused candida or common causes for candida. So, of course, most of the world, their problem is they do a lot of dairy and they do a lot of sugar, and that combination leads to an excess of candida. In Western countries, you see 80% of the population has too much candida, and that'll show up as acne or rosacea. But candida, there's different strains of candida, so there's different types of toxins. So you'll have sebaceous hyperplasia, seborrheic dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis, all caused by candida. How do I know this? Because when we give them protocols for candida, those conditions clear. We clear it all. and sometimes we have a harder time than others. And, I'm not going to tell you we're 100% on it. I'm going to tell you we're in the high 90s, and you can trust that and take it to the bank. And I guarantee it. And if you're doing my protocols and getting them off the bad supplements, we guarantee you're going to get a success rate. So you're writing me personally. If you are on these protocols and you're not seeing success, Dr. Ben at osmosisbeauty.com, Dr. Ben at osmosisbeauty.com. And I will personally take on every case, and I have been for the last several years. It's part of my mission to get this information out there. Happy to do it. Happy to get you in the right direction. Happy to identify for you what's keeping you from getting clear. And we'll get into some of those as we go on. I know we're already almost halfway through here. So you see the large intestine, you see all the areas. You can remember it by remembering your anatomy: esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Okay. That's it. We covered the whole thing for digestion. This is the number one cause of acne. This is the number one cause of rosacea. And H. pylori, like I said, I'm finding in 1 out of every 3 people. And so all these conditions are very relevant for you, and I hope this helped you. Now, you see there's some blank areas there. We do want to cover those. What is going on down here on the jawline? I mean, everybody knows jawline is hormonal acne. Guess what? That's true. It is hormonal acne, but it's not because your hormones are causing bacteria to grow at your jaw, which is kind of a crazy idea. Like, why would your hormones make the bacteria only grow on the jawline, right? Like, sometimes we have to apply logic to these theories that are put out by our researchers and the dermatologic community. It's like, wait, that doesn't actually make logical sense. There's no reason why they would just show up here, and a lot of times super cystic. So what is the real cause of jawline acne? We call it a liver zone because it's toxic acne from what are called estrogenic preservatives. So those are preservative toxins that all our foods, not all our foods, but many foods have, that resemble estrogen. So they do come out, and this body will purge these toxins based on hormonal shifts in your cycle. But it's happening to both men and women. Like, ingrown hairs are actually preservative toxin acne. The acne causes the hair to be ingrown. The ingrown does not cause the acne. So if you have a client or many clients who are struggling with pseudofolliculitis barbae or ingrown hair issues, if it's here, which is an inch above the jawline to about here, and an inch below the jawline to about here, then it is preservative toxins in their food. And you can look at their food, and we'll find the foods, and we'll teach them what foods are going to have to stop. And yeah, potato chips, you can imagine, not good. A surprising one is pea protein. Everyone should quit eating pea protein. It's not even a good source of protein, number one. And number two, they always seem to have toxins that cause this. And guess what else? The same toxins that cause this acne cause PCOS, or cysts on the ovary. So this is a huge problem for women. It's causing severe menstrual cramping. It's causing irregular cycles, and it's causing hormonal acne. And no, spironolactone is not good for you, and no one should be put on that. So what you want to do is you want to start binding and removing the toxins that cause this type of acne. We have a product called Skin Defense that does that. And then you want to teach them, hey, where are the highest sources of these? So I just mentioned pea protein, big problem out there, big problem, because so many people think they're being healthy eating it, and they're going on Accutane and horrible drugs because they can't get this under control because they keep eating pea protein. Huge, huge life-changing moment when they stop it. So then also pre-prepared meals. So I don't know, this happens a lot. This is more common in the States, where people are ordering pre-prepared meals online, and they put them in the oven or the microwave. They're highly preserved, causes of this. Also, frozen food. A lot of frozen food has these preservative toxins in it. A lot of snack food. So a lot of these long shelf life crackers, especially if they're from the mainstream brands, they're terrible. One I can think of off the top of my head, Kind bars are not bad. There's one of the few bars where you're like not getting acne from it. They may have other stuff in them, but they don't have acne causing toxins in them. They're pretty good generally, I would say. And I'm not promoting them. It's not what I use, but my point is to say you can find snacks that don't cause acne. But if you're getting this, you need to probably detox for a while because we've been eating those foods for a while. What else do I want to say? So pre-prepared meals, frozen food, snack food, fast food. Fast food, a big lot, fast food. How do those guys get their burgers and their fries? They're shipped on a boat to you guys from some other place, and they have to be preserved so they don't grow bugs, and those preservatives are nasty. Okay, now we get down to the neck. The neck is pesticide acne. So once you get below an inch below the jawline, you're looking at pesticide acne. Pesticide acne also in front of the ear by about an inch, and behind the ear, and down the neck, and all along the neck, and all along the back of the neck, and into the back of the scalp. All of those are the pesticide zones. These are also estrogenic toxins, so they're messing with your hormones. They're one of the main causes of breast cancer, in my opinion. They are absolutely something we should avoid. And I know organic food costs more, but if for your skin health, for your health, and especially if you're seeing acne all over your neck, then you're probably somebody who eats a lot of vegetables but doesn't buy organic. Or maybe organic is not available to you. I am doing this webinar from Puerto Rico. So I'm feeling your pain because the limited amount of organic food here, which is crazy because it's a lush tropical environment that they used to grow these vegetables here, but the United States says, oh, you can't do that. We have to provide you your vegetables. Crazy, but true. So here, so I'm just going to put it into your mind. If you can't get organic fruits and veggies, don't think they're healthy for you. You can have them on occasion. But believe it or not, the amount of pesticides in them is more harmful to you than the good nutrients that are in them helping you. I swear this is true. And if, at the very least, take my skin defense that helps remove those pesticides from your body, and that'll help. Okay, now we get down to the chest. Let me see where we're at on time. The chest is chlorine. So chlorine is in your water supply. A lot of times in the Caribbean, it's heavily in the water supply. Invest in a chlorine filter because spring water can be really pricey down there. And spring water usually will not have chlorine added to it. But the smart waters have chlorine. Most Coke and Pepsi brand waters have chlorine. And generally speaking, having been to many of your islands, I know that your choices aren't very good. From what I can tell, Fiji doesn't have chlorine, but it ain't Fiji water. They're lying to you, but at least it's good enough to be okay to drink. But again, not cheap. So get yourself a chlorine filter. Remember, you have to keep replacing those filters. The more chlorine you have in your water, and that will get rid of the chest and back acne and shoulder. Chest, back, and shoulder acne, chlorine. Okay, let's go to the next. Adrenal and kidney zone. So this is also, I should say, when you have stuff going on your upper and lower lids, a lot of times it is a liver problem. It's not adrenals and kidneys in combination. More often than not, if both upper and lower are involved, it is liver. But there are some exceptions. So I don't want to say it's 100% rule, but here's what I will tell you. If someone comes to you and one of their eyes is twitching or one of their eyes is inflamed, the upper lid mainly, or you give them a facial and one eye reacts, or both, even if both eyes reacts, that's stress, and that's why we call it the adrenal zone. Stress is the cause of eye twitching, and the left eye is a feminine source and the right eye is a masculine source. So if you find when you're talking to your husband that your eyes twitches, you got a problem with your husband. She already knew that, so it's not big news, but it's the cause of your eye twitching. So don't go in and get Botox if your eyes are twitching. You've got to figure out the source of your stress. We have a product called Emotional Wellbeing that helps with this. Really amazing product. Yes, adrenals, upper lids, that is one of the sources. Now, if someone has eczema on their body and they have eczema on their lids, then it's probably eczema. But we treat that. That's caused by candida, so you'll know how to do it. And then on the lower lids, this one's an important one because two things usually happen. One, you get puffy, or two, you get dark circles. If you're getting puffy, it's usually alcohol hurting your kidneys, but a lot of times it's blood pressure medicine causing puffy lids. The other one that's really common is non-steroidals like ibuprofen and aspirin. Those will cause your lower lids to be puffy. Why? Because they're hurting your kidneys. So this is one of the ones that where it lines up with Chinese medicine. The lower lids are kidneys and Chinese medicine as well. So why do you get dark circles? Well, dark circles are caused by two events. One is the water you've been drinking for a while or as a child had a lot of heavy metal in it. In other words, you were in an old house, you had old pipes, you were getting lots of heavy metal exposure, and your kidneys accumulated it, and that can cause them to be dark. That is for the people that say I've had dark circles since I was a kid, or the people that don't have sleep problems, because the second cause and the most common cause of dark circles is sleep issues. Still a kidney problem because your kidney rests when you sleep. So if you don't sleep well, your kidneys don't rest and they get dark. And so dark circles is not something you treat topically. It's something you treat by identifying where the problem is. If they're having a sleep problem, they're probably perimenopausal. Or they're stressed. So we have wellness products for both of those conditions. So what I'm telling you is we have the answers and the solutions here, and we explain everything to you. And everything always has a reason, guys. It's not like someone gets dark circles for no reason. They get dark circles for one of a few reasons. They get all these skin things happen for one of a few reasons. They end up very specifically in one spot on your face for a very specific reason. And it all ties to this mapping issue. All right, let's go. This one's fun for me. This one's so fun for me because we came out with a product recently that restores the facial volume of your face in the areas where the volume was lost, not everywhere. Now, let me explain that a little bit better. If you eat ice cream every day for a year, you're probably gaining 10 to 15 pounds and your whole face gets bigger and your wrinkles look a little better. Okay, that's a real thing. That is called subcutaneous fat. The fat right below the skin is what's gaining weight. And when you gain weight in subcutaneous fat, it gains everywhere. Like, well, it tends to accumulate in the face, right? You might get it in your arms, your buttocks, your belly, of course, all those places. That is subcutaneous fat. However, you have a whole different category of fat called structural fat. Structural fat is in your arms, but it's the one that makes your skin taut. It's in your thighs, but it's the one that holds the skin up. It is in your buttocks, but it's the one that lifts your buttocks. You guys all probably know, if you're old enough to have had kids, one of the interesting things that happens when you have kids is your butt flattens and drops. And men, we see that same. We see our butt flatten and drop. And it's like, why is our butt flattening and dropping? Structural fat pad loss. Why do you get the wiggly wobblies on your arm as you get older? Structural fat pad loss. Why do you get your neck get all loose and wrinkly? Structural fat pad loss. Why do you get wrinkles in your lips when you're not a smoker and you don't suck on straws? Structural fat pad loss. So you can see here in this image where all the structural fat pads are. It's unbelievable that this isn't being talked about more, but there are very specific ones that tend to go first. If you have lines in your forehead, you have structural fat pad loss. You don't have muscles overreacting. You should not be doing Botox. Botox is terrible for you. It damages your brainstem. 10 years of Botox, I'm seeing people now who have trouble swallowing. That is because Botox is proven to affect the brainstem. You do not want your clients or you to be doing Botox to reduce wrinkles when all it is you need to restore the volume of your fat pads. So we restore the volume in the forehead, we restore the volume in the eyes, we restore the volume below the eyes where the wrinkles most commonly are found. We restore the volume around the mouth where wrinkles are commonly found. Nasolabial fold is from these fat pads shrinking, letting the skin go this way, right? Nasolabial folds, marionette lines, same thing. These fat pads shrink, skin falls this way. All of those get fixed when you fill the fat pads, the neck, the buttocks. And again, it's not the dimply fat. That's subcutaneous fat. When the buttocks gets lifted, it's lifted. The breasts also go. A lot of women lose their breasts in breastfeeding and during pregnancy because of the demand on the fat in that area, and they lose the breast size. We don't get a huge gain in breast size, but I mean, I would say at least half a cup if you do the full fat pad protocol, which is about 8 bottles. And you have to do it right. You can't be on stuff that damages your gut, because the same product we use to fill the fat pads is the same product that restores your gut health and restores your hydration to your skin. So it is possible. You don't have to do fillers. Filler face is on its way out. People look ridiculous. Their cheeks are get into the room before the rest of their face does. And that's got to stop. It changes the way people look. I don't even recognize the celebrities of today. Because why? Because Hollywood said you need to be 13% body fat to do this movie over and over and over again. And eventually you lose your fat pads with really low body fat, being a hardcore athlete, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. Sugar even causes fat pad losses. And I'm talking about refined, bleached sugar. So all those things, we, more or less, all of us get exposed to at some level, and our volume in our face diminishes. It is 80% the cause of wrinkles. Fat pad, it's not a collagen, guys. This whole time we thought it was collagen. Not collagen, is actually the fat pads themselves causing eye wrinkles, causing forehead lines, not collagen. Do you hear me? So we have a product called Recovery. Check it out. Check out our before and afters. It's really a cool thing. I think we might have some before and afters in here at the end. Okay, some more body mapping. I know we're running close on time. We have 10 minutes. So if you see acne in the upper back, what did I tell you? Chlorine. If you see acne on the back of the arms, called KP, that's from Candida. If you see acne in the low back, or if you see acne on the whole back, there's a good chance it's mold. Mold can be in the upper back as well. So it's very rare that someone has mold and the acne is only in the upper back, but it could happen if they inhaled the mold and it's in their lungs. It could happen. But usually, you can tie it back to, well, what kind of water are you drinking? Okay. You know what I mean? Or, if it's in the low back or it's on the torso, it's mold. Okay. Rashes on the body are mold. We have amazing mold protocols. If you have acne on the buttocks, a lot of people ask about that. That is caused by eating bacteria in your food. So number one cause of acne on the buttocks in the Caribbean is probably sushi. The number two cause of acne on the buttocks is pepperoni, or, that kind of meat. And there's just a lot more bacteria in them. And so those bacteria can deposit in the colon and cause butt acne. So there you have it. You've covered the gamut here. And I don't want to, go all the way through without telling you that we have, as far as I know, we're the only skincare line in the world who tells you that we can encourage and inspire your skin to permanently change. In other words, your body will rebuild its own collagen with the assistance of the nutrients that we deliver liposomally into the skin. We empower the skin to repair old sun damage. So we treat age spots related to sun exposure in 8 weeks with Rescue. Liver spots are a different problem, and they really are from the liver. And so that is in and of itself. We have our growth factor serum, which is the best growth factor serum in the world, proven by the numbers. It has, in that bottle of Stem Factor MD, is 3.5 trillion exosomes. We proved this in a research study, counting the exosomes in the bottle, and 3.5 trillion. That was not a mistake, not billion, trillion. And they're all these growth factors wrapped in exosomes. So if you've heard about exosomes, there's no better exosome product in the world than Stem Factor MD. And it's amazing. And that in that syringe, you're seeing our retinaldehyde based facial infusion, which is exactly what the people in Mexico and the Caribbean need in order to rejuvenate their skin, because you don't burn people who are about to go out in the sun again with acids. Acids only make your skin less healthy, believe it or not. Yes, it burns off a layer, but your skin is worse from it because you actually burn down into your epidermis. You burn cells, like your dermal epidermal junction gets burned by acid, and then you're more likely to get age spots. So there's so much irony in skincare where we're doing things that have the opposite of what we think they do. I don't have time to go into all of those. Check out my podcast. I go into them very often. And off the list here is our vitamin A serum Renew. I mean, not off the list, but hidden behind our names over here on the right is vitamin A serum in the world. Again, I say this, and you probably are like, oh my God, what a car salesman, because I'm saying them with this. But I will tell you definitively why these things are true. So, for example, Catalyst. Why do I say it's the best C serum in the world? Because it's the only C serum in the world that's proven to make broken capillaries disappear in a clinical trial, because it's the only C serum in the world that actually reverses acne scarring. It's the only topical product in the world that reverses acne scarring. Like those kinds of statements give you a clue that we're doing something different with our vitamin C. And that's why I say it. Why is Renew the best A serum? Because there's so much clinical research that retinaldehyde is the best and only form of vitamin A you should use on your skin. And we're the only ones who deliver it with pharmaceutical grade liposomes. So you're getting 6 times more penetration. Not to mention we're using the highest strengths. Not to mention I'm using super high strengths of some of the best collagen cofactor ingredients out there, like chlorella, hydroxyproline, niacinamide. The list goes on and on. There's like 8 different collagen cofactors in there, all proven in various research studies to stimulate collagen in a holistic way. When you stimulate collagen by burning the skin, you're stimulating to replace what just got burned. When you stimulate it through these strategies I just talked about, you're actually creating long-term change because you're creating a net effect, a net gain. So what are the supplements that we use to get these amazing results in these last few minutes? You see that bottle of recovery. That is primarily sea buckthorn oil. It's a very specific blend of the fruit pulp and seed extracts. And that is how these are all patent pending for the most part. And so that you take a tablespoon of it once a day for gut health as part of H. pylori protocol. And then you take a tablespoon twice a day, not once in the day, but you have to do it twice a day, 2 different times for the fat pad protocol. It's unbelievable for digestive health. It restores your microbiome. It's a prebiotic. Don't do fermented food. Don't do probiotics. You only want to do a good prebiotic, and sea buckthorn is one of the best. And that product right there will restore the volume in your client's face, and the results will be dramatic, and they will love you forever. Skin Defense is the one I said that binds and removes all those estrogenic toxins we talked about. Here, the chest and back. Skin Defense is all you need, but you got to go within. You're not going to treat it any other way. I mean, you could treat it by convincing them to remove all toxins from their diet, and giving their body time to clear. Some people can get away with that, but a lot of people, there's so many toxins from so many years of eating them that they need the cleanse. And then the bottom one there is immune activator. That one is my immune building protocol. It's also one of my liver repair products for melasma. By the way, melasma is from hurting your liver. So we didn't get in too much to the other reasons why you can have rosacea on your face, but mostly it's medication or infection of the liver. And so we have immune activator can be part of that protocol. We have something called frequency medicine as well. I'm not going to lie. I've been like I came out with this over a decade ago, and it is the number one source of ridicule of osmosis. They're like, that's crazy. That can't possibly work. And yet we have 2 placebo-controlled clinical trials proving it works. And yet we have 90, let's call it 7% success rate using these elixirs and only these elixirs in clearing skin conditions like candida in children, usually in adults when you have eczema in children. And usually in adults when they have eczema, they also need to melt the mucus out of their body. But our frequency elixirs now, they're undeniably effective. We stand strong and boldly in telling you they'll change your life. If you have someone who's got depression or anxiety, you take our elixirs for that, you'll see them. They'll change their life. These are life-changing opportunities, and it's frequency medicine. How cool is that? It's like it's the cutting edge of strategy. No one else in the industry that I know of is doing frequency medicine, and it's just one of the amazing blessings from it. So I pretty much hit the time on the head, which is pretty amazing. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Let me see if I have a summary for you. So let me give you the summary before I go to questions, and that is aesthetics is a tough business, because if you're not getting permanent change, you have to convince people to spend a lot of money every month, very valuable money to them in a lot of cases. A lot of people don't have a lot of money for a temporary change. And what I mean by that, if you're using a peptide product that's just peptides, they'll see an improvement in their wrinkles on month one. But if they stop the product, those results will go away because all the peptide results are plumping. If they're using an alpha hydroxy based product, they'll see an improvement in their wrinkles in month one, but all the wrinkles will go away or come back, I should say, when they stop using the product because it's a temporary product. Osmosis is the only company I know who's promising and delivering on telling you that we can change the skin permanently and that when you stop the product, the results will still be there. And they accumulate month after month on the product. But even more important to me is the change we're doing in people's lives by healing a health condition that they otherwise don't have a solution for, or that they otherwise did not know what was causing it. And so the amount of opportunity you have with this product line to change people's lives is incredible. That's what that's what Osmosis is all about, is changing people's lives. And so you can see the passion I have behind it. And I know sometimes I'm like, best product in the world. I mean, I only say it because I have so much science and so much result behind it that's making me speak so, I guess it's arrogantly, but I apologize for that. I apologize. I probably shouldn't be so gregarious, I suppose it is. But I'm speaking with confidence because I'm 25 years into this, guys. 25 years of formulating, 25 years of observing these results, 25 years of various clinical trials showing again and again that what we're doing is the right direction. It's the direction aesthetics is heading. By the way, wellness is huge in this industry. We were one of the original leaders of that. Holistic strategy for skin, huge in this industry today. We are one of the original leaders of that. We are leading the way to the future. And so hopefully you find that in looking at our before and afters and all the stuff that we have. Okay. I don't know. Are there any questions? Let me know. I don't know. Fabiola, do you have some questions? Or somebody?
Hi, sorry, there's somewhere Sarah is located and she lost the power, so I'll be handling the questions. So in case she doesn't get back.
Oh, yes.
So it is an interesting topic, really, really interesting, this skin mapping, just an innovative way. And I was wondering about the elixirs. You mentioned there are frequency elixirs, so these work somehow similar to how to just listening to frequencies.
To listening to frequencies. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. So like sound therapy kind of thing. It's what you mean.
Yeah, something like that.
No. So sound does have a scalar wave component, and our elixirs use what are called scalar waves. What we do is we have this machine that imprints frequencies onto the molecules of water, and we've proven this technology by sending, well, like putting frequencies in the water that are antibacterial and then sending them off to a lab and asking them to try to grow bugs in water, which normally should be easy, and the bugs don't grow. So we've tested them out 5 years. We've tested them after microwaving, freezing, and boiling, and the frequencies stay in there. The only thing that disables the frequencies is if you coincide our frequency elixirs with ionized water, otherwise known as alkalinized water, all those new devices out there, hydrogen water, all of that stuff is bad for you, by the way, and it disables the frequencies for some reason in our stuff. And so how they work is when you ingest them, there are millions of them. They spread out in your bloodstream and they go to everywhere your blood reaches, which happens to be just about everywhere, thank goodness. And so then they sit and they pulse, and they're pulsing a frequency that's either targeting candida, or pulsing a frequency that's neutralizing a toxin, or they're pulsing a frequency of health resonance for the gut, for example. And so they all have different effects, but it's not quite like sound therapy. They last for 4 hours in the body, and then the resonance effect. So in other words, the effect they had on the body during those 4 hours lasts another 8 hours. So everyone has to do them twice a day. generally speaking. There's a couple of exceptions, but twice a day in order to get the result. And that's how they work.
Hi, I'm back.
Yay!
Apologies for the internet issues.
Yeah.
Really fascinating information. Yeah, there are a lot of different questions. But one thing that struck at me was that you mentioned staying away from fermented foods and
Yeah.
probiotics. Could you elaborate on why and what about prebiotics?
Love the question. One of my favorite topics because it's the entire world who thinks probiotics are good for you.
Yeah.
But they did clinical trials, and yeah, there's one clinical trial I think that showed some positive signs. But of course, I found the clinical trial. The first one I find showed that after antibiotics, someone was given no probiotics, and someone was given, or a group of people were given either no probiotics or a probiotic to get their gut health back. And the people that got no probiotic got their gut health back faster than with a probiotic. I was trying to formulate a probiotic because I didn't know until more recently of this issue. But here's how I'll lay it out for you. The entire world thinks that our microbiome formed with the foods that we ate between the ages of 0 and 2. But logically, that actually makes no sense because we don't have the same microbiome as our mom. And that's where we would get some of the microbiome from the breast milk if we breastfed. But also, there's so many people who do Infamil and all these other milk formulas. They don't have any probiotics in them. So they're not getting any benefit from that. And then they go to the Gerber baby food and whatever other food. And guess what, guys? The exotic probiotics we have in our gut, which I estimate to be about 10,000 different strains, almost none of them are in our food. Yes, we have a lactobacillus here in that yogurt or what have you, but there are so many strains that are not in our food, and yet all of us have these diverse microbiomes different from each other. So what is the explanation for that? I will tell you what it is. You have 60 trillion bugs in your body. Most of them do not have your DNA, and they're made by the body. We call them bugs because they resemble bacteria. They function a lot like a bacteria, but in reality, they're part of our system. They're our army doing the work for us. Just like we know the microbiome helps break down food for us, just like the bacteria on the skin have their own defense mechanism for us. The same is true in the gut, and it's our DNA that determines our gut. This is why when they say eat right for your blood type, what does that go back to? Well, your blood type's from your DNA. Your DNA decides your microbiome, your DNA decides your blood type, and the diet makes sense with the blood type. That's not 100% correct, that book, but it's got a lot of truth in it. And so the same thing is true with the gut. The gut comes from your DNA. So when you destroy your gut, let's say you're on a year's worth of antibiotics for acne or something, and you destroy your microbiome in a lot of ways due to that, you can't get it back by putting in a population of bugs that aren't the ones your body wants. And that's what probiotics are. They're a choice off a shelf. They don't match your microbiome. And yes, okay, let's say there's 10 strains in that probiotic. 3 of them are good for you. Great. But you're populating your gut with 7 other ones that are causing harm. And so people think, oh, I took a probiotic and my constipation got better. Well, yeah, because it caused harm and caused fluid and increased your, don't assume just because it made your diarrhea or your constipation better that meant that your gut health was better. It just changed your microbiome and it behaved differently. So people just need to know, I'm seeing the evidence every day in my forum, thousands of cases. Probiotics are always bad. And your DNA designs your microbiome. So when it comes to prebiotics, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's fermented food. Well, no, because you're populating the gut with whatever you're fermenting the food with. That's not part of your microbiome. And so that story was a bunch of BS. I can't even believe it. And so there are a few out there. Like there is, what's the really common one? Bottom line is oils are your best. Omega oils are actually some of the best prebiotics, but sea buckthorn, I think, is the best. It's got the most complete omega profile as well. What's the one called? I'll think of it, but most prebiotics aren't good. Inulin encourages lactobacillus formation over other forms of microbiome. And so lactobacillus has been shown to make you fat. So inulin will cause you to gain weight. So that's just one example of a commonly used one. And I'll leave it there because I know for time.
Okay. Fascinating information. And I know, having looked on your website, there's a lot of scientific information on the studies that you've done and the results
Yeah.
that you've got. So I would suggest anyone who found this interesting to take a look at the Osmosis website. And the amount of information there is absolutely fascinating.
It is, but it's sometimes hard to find. We're about to redesign our website because I feel like it's a little hard. So be patient with it. You know, you gotta do a lot of digging to get everywhere that you need. And if you can't find it, contact your salesperson. In this case, Chantal is here for the region. She can help you find things if you're having trouble finding what you're looking for.
Great. Thank you so much. One other question I wanted to know is there training available for our Spanish speaking audience?
Oh boy, that is a good question. I would say, who do we have? We do have a Spanish speaking trainer.
Mhm.
But the HSS is not in Spanish. So it's a little challenging, but yes, I think, I want to say we have one person who could put on, we need to start doing that, Spanish classes. Let me know if you gather a list of people together that are interested in a Spanish class, and we'll make it happen.
Fabulous. That was so amazing. I love your passion on the topic and really, really interesting. Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Dr.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson.
Okay, that's good. Okay, no more questions. All right. Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, you know where to find me. Hashtag Ask Dr. Ben if they're looking for more info on all this stuff.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.